So to start this saran wrap camo cup, I am going to use the Universal White with number 4 Craftnique pigment in it. Now, I also like to add a little bit of my Extreme Protection or Bright Tone, but I use this for another cup, so I already have it mixed together. My popsicle stick was to just finish mixing it. These blush brushes are really nice. I'm just gonna take that and lightly go over it. Remember, no more than 2 pieces of notebook paper thick, or it's going to take longer to dry and can cause you orange peel in the future. You don't want to overwork it, so I'm trying to very quickly spread out that last glob I put on. I'm going to go up here. We're gonna let that dry for 4 hours and I will put another layer on. All right, so I have 2 coats of that Universal White on here. You could do a third if you want. I've got a few spots that are a little bit lighter and streaky, but this 2 coats is good. So I'm going to start with the Aqua Bombay ink. I'm gonna shake it up. There's your pigments. I'll sink to the bottom. I've got saran wrap. Now, I have not used alcohol inks, so it is different from the videos I have seen with those. I'm going to use my pipette. If you buy the bigger bottles of these, they already have the dropper in them, which is nice. Drop just a couple drops, do a couple more. I take it, kind of smush it around my saran wrap, and pull it back so my ink is on the outside. I'm gonna dab it on the cup. Now, from what I saw of alcohol inks, you kind of do this way too. You just wrap the cup in it first. That did not work for me. I ended up with funny streaks and bumps, and I put it in there and I tried to pick it up and it was a liquid mess. So then I moved it and I did it again. And I tried to do it a couple times, like just moving it, and it didn't work. So I ended up taking it and doing this to it anyways. Now I like having the green base because then I don't have to have it completely covered. The base shining through will match. Just keep going over. The more ink you put on it, the darker spots you'll get there, like that, compared to some of these spots. And then you want to start with light and work your way darker. You can always work darker. Very difficult to lighten something up again. So that's where I'm at right now. Then I am also using Van Dyke Brown. Now I only have this one green color. I do have a couple browns, but I don't want it too dark. So this time I'm going to put a couple drops, but I'm going to mix them in the saran wrap. So they kind of blended together there in the bottom. And smush it around. My recommendation, if you don't want to look like an artist, is wear gloves. I just tend to forget that and not care. Let's see, now here I'm getting a darker color. I'm going to do a little bit more of that darker color. Two more spots. And that is why I put a towel or a bin. Sometimes I put a bin underneath so that doesn't happen. So I got most of it cleaned up. I'm going to use the pen cleaner. There still is a little bit on my table. I'm going to put some of the pen cleaner in my paper towel and use that to finish wiping it off. That does get it off nicely. Alright, so I should have done this from the beginning. I didn't think it was that big a deal, but I'm going to this thing instead. If I use it in here and it spills, it's not going to go through the towel onto my table. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is brown. If you look at camo, it generally has the darker spots, like the darkest spots you aren't covered up by other colors. So I'm going to do the Van Dyke Brown. We'll try this again. I'm going to just lightly dab it on. Those big spots were because I had a lot more ink on this, which is fine. I'm just going to add some depth here. Just lightly dab it on. If you see areas that you think need a little more color, just keep going over them until you're happy with how it looks. And I think I'm a fan. Let me do some more up here along the very top of this brown. Now I'm going to let that dry for 4 hours. Should be dry in 1. It's very thin layers. It barely looks wet now, but I am going to give it at least 4 hours before moving on to my bright tone. Now, the great thing about Bombay Inks is this does not need to be sealed before going to bright tone. In 4 hours, I can just go on to bright tone. Alright, so this has now dried for 4 hours. I keep my bright tone in a condiment bottle. You can either use a brush or your finger, it doesn't matter. You do not want it thick. You don't want to overwork it. I'm just going to try and brush it out. The best thing about this, my favorite reason for using inks, is this cup. It's pretty much already smooth. So when I go to add my decal, I don't think I'm gonna have to sand. I may give it one light sanding. We'll see how it looks. But I should be able to just go right to my decal. Now I do put a couple layers of bright tone on first, because if you make a mistake and you screw up your decal, when you try and lift it, sometimes it can lift up base coats and different things. So I'm going to do a few layers of bright tone first, just to make sure I've got that good base coat. In 4 hours I can go again. Alright, so I have 3 layers of bright tone on this. I'm going to use a piece of masking tape. Push it down really well. This will give you an idea if it's a level or not, what your vinyl would look like. And it looks like I am good to go right to vinyl. And now I'm going to cover it with 3 layers of bright tone. I will lightly sand it, probably 3 more layers, and I should be good to go.